Right, can we start with the salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right, you had a 2-week break, so I'm not sure how much we remember, but we're going to do some journaling. You've gone through the introduction to journaling, hopefully color directory at some point. We've gone through this, but I need to go through it again, inshallah. You know the gates, you know the network. Hopefully you know this one. Walzam kalbi hifdha kitabika kama allamtani. Okay. So let's go over quickly about the focus of the surahs, and we're increasing as we're going along. So Surah Al-Fatiha, summary of the Qur'an. Baqarah, history of faith. Al Imran, it should come to you so quickly, like top of your head, Muslim identity. Nisa, manifestation of that identity, respect of women. Okay, Surah Al-Ma'idah, 5, perfection of religion. See, you got it. An'am, practicalities of Tawheed, but they make up their own rules, right? This should come so quickly that you know each one of these, okay? A'raf, any idea? Rejection of divine guidance, okay. Anfal, any idea? Attributes of believers. This really should come quickly. Tawbah, hypocrisy, exposed. Okay, Yunus, it's never too late. Hud, basics of Iman and stories of previous prophets. 12 you should know. Come on, Yusuf. Tawakkul, trust in Allah. Okay, 13. You remember Ra'ad? If I can move it. Okay, hold on a minute. It's gone a bit funky. Right, Ra'ad, any idea? Change yourself. If you don't change yourself, nothing else will change you, and tranquility only comes from Allah. 14. It's actually du'as of Ibrahim, okay? But you can talk about submission, gratitude versus ingratitude. And last time we met, we did Hijr. Do you remember? And we actually, when we talked about it, we said the Prophet and the Qur'an do not need outside validation. Doesn't need somebody else to come and tell you that this is right and therefore you will believe it. It's you and you and you and me and me and me. We're going to look at Nahl today. Now Nahl, I know you've got stickers with a green background. It should actually have a yellow background because it's a Makki surah. But I'm going to first look at the focus of the surah. And the focus of the surah actually revolves around life has a purpose. So life has a purpose, and you will see that the surah is also known as Surah Al Nahl, the surah of blessings. Because it talks about everything around you has a purpose. There is something to do. So you will find in the surah the attitude of the kuffar. When I say kuffar, those who covered up the truth. It's really important to know what a kafir is. One who covers up the truth. So those who covered up the truth towards divine knowledge. So again, I will go through to Nahl. If you're looking at the focus, the basic focus is life has a purpose. You're not just made just like that, okay? All right, so we're going to go straight into the surah, ayah number 1. If you look at the ayah number 1, it says, Ata amrullah. Now that is actually a done deal. It's like nothing talks about anything else. Ata amrullah means this is already done. I'm not looking at the translation, I'm telling you this as in it's, and Ata amrullah is like, there's no question about it. فَلَا تَسْتَجِلُونَ. Don't desire to hasten anything. Everything is done. It's a done deal. You don't have to push it. You don't have to push it. So when you're looking at Allah, He's telling you that the ajr of what you do is already on its way. That means the consequence of your actions are there. They're written. You can't run away from them. You can't hurry them or you can't delay them. And every action has a reaction. You can't say this will not be done. Now, this is actually aimed at the kuffar who had, this is late Makkah. So the Prophet has been talking to them throughout this Makkah period, and nothing seems to get into their heads. So the Prophet, they said, "Ata amrullah fala tastajiluhu." Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. Whatever they say God is, He isn't. So whatever they associate with Him, He isn't. Right, we're going to look at ayah 9, okay? So the sticker you've got for Ata Amrullah is the decision has already been made. There's nothing else to it. Now you will see in ayah 9, he says, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ قَصْدُ السَّبِيلِ. The path towards Allah is the easiest and straightest of paths. There is no worrying about it. Qasdu sabil means the easiest of paths, the straightest of paths. You don't have to remember if you tell the truth. If you tell a lie, you got to remember. You don't have to remember doing good. It stays there. It's good. There's no two ways about it. But when you do dodgy things, you have to worry. How am I going to explain myself? So he's saying, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ, the path to Allah, قَصْدُ السَّبِيلِ, is the straightest of path. وَمِنْهَا جَائِرٌ, and from them you will see human beings. Ja'irun is somebody who veers off the path. Can make lots of excuses, but he'll veer off the path. And he says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ لَهَدَاكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. If he had wanted, he would have put all of you on the straight path. But he wanted to give you and me free will so that we found out for ourselves who we are. That's basically what it's about. مَنْ عَرَفَ نَفْسَهُ فَقَدْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. If you've recognized yourself, you've recognized your Rabb. Let me give you an example. You and I all believe, 39:53, that لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله, don't despair in the mercy of Allah. إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Do you not read that in the Qur'an? He can forgive all sins. Yet you and I say, maybe He won't forgive me. So it is not Him, it is me. It is not Him. He doesn't have grudges. He doesn't say, I won't forgive you because, I'm petty. It is me as a human being who's petty and cannot forgive myself or anybody else for that matter. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. So it's really important to think what he's trying to say here. If he'd wanted to, he would have led us all the right, but wouldn't it be boring? Can you imagine? It'd be boring if we were all khojas. Forget about just on the right path. Okay? Good. Okay. So here you put that sticker which says right and wrong path. Right, 16:18. I love this ayah. So if you look at this whole section, 1 to 20, I think it's 1 to 18, it's talking about his ni'mas. Well, we're going to look at 18. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you were to count his blessings, you would not be able to compute them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah is Ghafoor and Rahim. Now, if you look at that particular ayah, you will find that we've gone through it before, or if we haven't, then do you remember where we saw it? In Surah Ibrahim, 14:34. We give you whatever you ask for, and if you were to count his blessings, you would not be able to compute them. Today's psychology tells you that if you want to be happy, have a gratitude journal. Have you heard of these journals? Go to any bookshop, you'll find a gratitude journal. He's told you 1,500 years ago, 1,400 years ago, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. All you have to do is recite Dua al-Arafah. And it's not only to be recited on the day of Arafah. Imam Hussein actually talks about Dua al-Arafah, and he talks about every single thing you want to be grateful for. Okay. I would put near it 1434. I don't know whether it's on your stickers or not. Oh, yes, it is. So you've got blessed, and you've got 1434. Okay. All right, 1628. Oh my goodness. First of all, if you look at your Qur'ans, I don't think I have it on my on the PowerPoint, but if you look at 27, he says, ثم يوم القيامة يخزيهم ويقول أين الشركاء? Where are your associates? Where are those people that you thought were God, that you thought you were worried about? There's a wonderful saying in Gujarati where we say, Mana sosu kaise? So worried about people that we forget that there is a God. Okay. So, وَيَقُولُ أَيْنَ الشُّرَكَاء? And then he's telling you, if you look right at the bottom, he says, إن الخزي اليوم والسوء على الغافرين. The worst sort of disgrace or punishment in the world and the akhirah is humiliation. It's when I've done something wrong and the guilt eats me up. Okay, so that, going on from there, 28 says, الَّذِينَ تَتَوَفَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ ظَالِمِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. Those for whom the angel of death will come, and they have been unjust to themselves. They haven't asked for forgiveness. They haven't put their life right. They will be told, فَأَلْقَوْا السَّلَمَ مَا كُنَّا نَعْمَلُ مِنْ سُوءٍ بَلَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. They will always say, their excuse will be, we didn't do anything wrong. They will always try and justify themselves. Even when the angel of death comes, they will try and justify themselves and say, we did not do anything wrong. They will have an excuse for everything. Now, it's an opportunity for me and you to look at our lives and say, do I justify everything I do? If I was mean to someone, do I justify it? Do I say, well, he did this, therefore I did this? Or she did this, therefore I did. And you know, I'm only saying this about her because she is like that. Well, that's called gossip. If it wasn't true, it's called tuhmat. You know that, right? So it's the same thing. الَّذِينَ تَتَوَفَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. It's actually giving us a picture of ourselves. And it's saying, if you're justifying something that you're doing wrong, this is what's going to happen. You're going to continue justifying it. I like this one. And those who have taqwa, always aware that there is a God around. ماذا أنزل ربكم? What is that your Rabb has revealed? They will always say, قالوا خيرا للذين أحسنوا في هذه الدنيا حسنة ودار الآخرة خير ولنعم دار المتقين. They have got a positive mindset. Everything is cool. Look at Sayyidah Zainab, because you just finished Ashra Zainabiyya, right? So it's probably something that is at the back of your mind, back of my mind. When death comes, or when anything comes, when she saw so much difficulty, what did it say? When Yazid said, how did you find it? Anybody? مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. I saw nothing but beauty. Nothing. I mean, can you imagine you and me looking at that scene and thinking, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. So here Allah is saying, if you do good, you have a positive mindset. He doesn't want you and me to have a negative mindset. We weren't made to be sad. We weren't made to be morose all the time. I say this all the time and I repeat it again. I hear people who tell me in Gujarati, "Barotia baira koi des thaira nahi." Do you know what that means? That means my diapers were burnt and they never stopped burning. You say, how are you? And they go, "Su ke me." There's always something to complain about. But there isn't. Life was supposed to be positive. I'll repeat this again, and I'd like you to listen to it very carefully. My eldest granddaughter has got cerebral palsy. She's got severe cerebral palsy. So she's 11. She cannot walk. She cannot talk. She cannot eat. She has to have a tube through her stomach. She only speaks through a device. So when I used to go to therapy with her, I haven't been for a while, when I used to go to therapy with her, there was a young man whose son couldn't even bat his eyelids. That means he couldn't even close his eyelids. Dad had to put his eyelids up and down. And if you don't put the eyelids up and down, then the eyes get dry. And I was sitting near him while I was watching Sophia have her therapy. So when I sat near him, he said, "This is my greatest blessing." And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, how so? Because he and me thinking, poor me. And I think, how so? He says, I left my work in the city. My wife works. And I look after him, but he's my greatest blessing. He said, because every time somebody looks at him, they think of God. Either they're thankful for what they have, or they pray for him. Tell me, this child will never steal, will never be mean, will never be anything. And he'll go straight to paradise, and he's not going to enter without me, because I look after him. Life changed for me, completely. So all the little things now don't matter. They don't matter. So here you're seeing the positive side of life. And in life, that's what it's trying to say. Even when the angel of death comes, they're not going to say, "Oh God, motayu." They say, "Thank you for life." And that's what it's all about. If I lead my life like, I'm sorry it took some time on this, but 1630 is pretty important to be able to, if you remember it, then hopefully you will be there. Do you know what you and I pray for when we raise our hands? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. You can have a positive outlook. Yes, you will go to Jannah. Unless you've done something really mean, go and say sorry. Otherwise, what's there to stop you and me going to Jannah? This bit about maybe if. You know, these Maulanas have scared us. Sorry, I love them to bits. I learn more from them than anybody else. But there's no need to be scared. It isn't. That's not what life was about. Okay, 32. So here we are, same people. الَّذِينَ تَتَوَفَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ طَيِّبِينَ. Those whom death comes to when they are good. يَقُولُونَ. Look what the angels tell to them. سَلَامٌ alaykum. Peace be on you. Udkhulul Jannah. Enter Jannah. Bima kuntum ta'malun. Because of what you did. If you sleep well, you're good. If you've done your best, hand it over to him. Don't have to worry about. You can't control anybody else. Okay? That's basically what it's trying to say. Okay, and then obviously you all know this. إنما قولنا لشيء إذا أردناه أن نقول له كن فيكون. Where else do you read this? Which ayah? In Surah Yasin. Which ayah do you know? Have a look. Find it for me. 36 what? Go to the surah, which is the heart of Qur'an, hopefully. You tell me what ayah it is. Yes, no, maybe, perhaps. 80? Okay. I'm going to take your word for it, because you're going to write it down, okay? So 1640 is kun fayakun. 3682, okay? You good? So be and it is. It only takes a moment for him. Not even a moment, a blink of an eye, not even that. It's just say, be and it is. Okay. All right, now this is talking about those who covered up the truth. وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدَهُمُ بِالْأُنْثَى. When they, and look what Allah says, bushira is good news. When the good news is given to any of them of a daughter, ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا وَهُوَ قَدِيمٌ. They become sad and they look down. It's also a very Indian subcontinent attitude. It's a very Arab attitude. It was a very pre-Islamic attitude. So the attitude was why? And you got to understand, it wasn't because they hated their children. It wasn't because they hated daughters. It's because they knew how they treated daughters. They used and abused women. And the moment a daughter was born, in their heads they thought, my daughter will be used and abused. Because that's what I do. So that's the state of how daughters would be. Right? So they were petrified of what was going to happen to their daughters. Right? So 1658, if you look at that. Now, let's have a look. يَتَوَارَى مِنَ الْقَوْمِ مِنْ سُوءٍ. He is so ashamed that a daughter has been announced to him. أَمْ يَدُسُّهُ فِي التُّرَابِ. He doesn't know, what shall I do? Shall I bury this daughter? أَلَا سَاءَ مَا يَحْكُمُونَ. Evil is what they think. It is really, really ugly. In another part of Qur'an, and actually you should look it up, وَإِذَا مَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. When the newborn child on the day of Qiyamah will say, for what reason did you bury me? Why did you bury me alive? What happened? So here, he just didn't want a daughter for that reason, because he was scared. I normally take this in majlis, but I'd like to take you through it because I've got a little bit of time today. So, if you close your eyes and you imagine a child, a little girl who's born, and she tells her husband, not now. She's just born, let me keep her. And then she gets to be about 1, and she's toddling, and she says, Mama and Baba. And he says, I've got to take her. It is our custom that we do this. So he takes his daughter, And he takes her to the village square where everybody's standing around a hole. Just imagine this child. He puts her in this hole and she tells her, Baba, Baba, we playing hide and seek. And then there's earth falling on her. And she cries out, Baba. And that's how they buried their children. There was a man who came to the Prophet and he said, I can't sleep. I have PTSD. He didn't say PTSD. He said, I can't sleep because I can hear my daughter saying, Baba, what are you doing to me? Why are you killing me? And the Prophet said, go and serve your mother. He said, I don't have a mama. He said, go to her grave. He said, I don't know where her grave is. He says, go and serve your Masi. That is your mother's sister. Serve her for the rest of your life. For that will allow you to compensate for your sins. This is what they did to girls. Now you may think we don't do it now. Well, maybe we don't do it on the earth. Or we don't bury them in earth. But we do bury them with so many traditions. We don't let them be who they are. We say, it'll look bad if you go study, nobody's going to marry you. We say, if you do this, what is wrong with us? We're doing exactly the same thing. We're stopping our girls from being who they wish to be. They wish to be the best. Why are we stopping them? Anyway, 1668. Now that, in essence, talks about the bee. This is where the surah comes from, right? The way you remember surah number 16 is the bee, is normally in the English language you say sweet 16. The sweetest thing on earth, allegedly, is honey. And honey is made from the bee. Are you good? So now you know what surah number 16 is. Okay, good. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ. And your Rabb revealed إِلَى النَّحْلِ to the bee. And اتَّخَذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا. Make your homes in the mountains. وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ. And in the trees. وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ. And in whatever you want. Now I don't know how much, maybe you can Google it, right? If you look at the bee, if you look at Google or you go to a search engine and you put in bee, you will find the bee doesn't go in a straight line. It goes in loops. Have you seen that? And that is revealed to it by its Rabb, to be able to go in loops. It looks like they're confused, but that path is what God has destined for them. There's a path destined. Please look it up. It's so interesting how honey is made, how it's done, all the rest of it, okay? So if you look at 1668, you've got it in your book somewhere. And then he's told in 69, I'm sorry, I haven't got it on PowerPoint, ثُمَّ كُلِي مِن كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ. Eat of all the fruits, فَاسْلُكِي سُبِلَ رَبِّكَ. And go to the way your Rabb has told you. Dhululan. Dhululan is like a bit lost. You look like you'll be lost. يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا. And remember the word butun, stomach. Remember that stomach? يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفًا أَلْوَانُهَا. From its stomach will come this liquid that will have lots of different colors. فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. In it, there is a cure or healing for human beings. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. In this, there is a sign for people who think. You know how good honey is for you, right? Especially if you mix it with cinnamon, onion seeds. A prophet, by the way, not me. Cinnamon, onion seeds, and ginger. Mix that together, put it on the table in the morning, and have a little bit. Put it on bread or with butter with your children, and they'll never fall ill. You got that? A teaspoon each of all those in some honey, and get some good honey, especially honey from your own country, from your own land, rather than the honey from the supermarkets. In fact, there are our own people who get honey, right? You know that? They've got their farms. Okay. Right. 1672. I love this ayah because it talks about grandchildren. So it starts off with 71 when Allah says, وَاللَّهُ فَضَّلَ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الرِّزْقِ. He's given some people apparently what they think is more risk. Now, if you ask for people, if you say, what is risk? They say pound signs. How much money do you have in the bank? Yet he says, وَجَعَلَ لَكُمْ. We have made for you as risk, min azwajikum, from your wives or from your partners, banina, children, wa hafadha. Now, Hafadha is grandchildren. Did you know that? Hafid is a grandchild. Hafadha, grandchildren. So we've given you grandchildren. وَرَزَقَكُم مِّنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. And the other risk we gave you was good. أَفَبِالْبَاطِلِ يُؤْمِنُونَ وَبِنِعْمَةِ اللَّهِ هُمْ يَكْفُرُونَ. Why don't you look at it? Why don't you realize what a great blessing it is? For you and me, if you don't have children or grandchildren, it doesn't matter. We've got a beautiful community full of children and grandchildren. Come to workshop, come to madrasa and teach and see how many children will come to you. And they'll call you mama. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's telling you, look at this, look at the beauty of, you can see those grandchildren, the grandparents at the back, right? They're a bit grumpy, but maybe they're a bit like me. Okay. So 72 talks about grandchildren, about the only ayah that talks about hafadha, which is grandchildren, okay? I love this ayah. Anyway, 77. So now look at this. He says, وَلِلَّهِ غَيْبُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And to Allah is the unseen of the heaven and of the earth. وَمَا أَمْرُ السَّاعَةِ إِلَّا كَلَامْهِ الْبَصَرِ. And when things happen, you know, we say, this is my qiyamah, or this is my judgment. It happens so quickly that you don't even realize it, in the twinkling of an eye. Inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. He has power over everything. 1 minute you're standing, and then 1 minute you don't know what's happened. I can tell you from personal experience, in the month of Ramadan, there's me thinking, plan the whole of Ramadan, this is what I'm going to teach the children's classes, la 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 la, all the rest of it. 14th of Ramadan, I couldn't get up. I couldn't walk from my bed to my chair. Just couldn't get up, full stop. The legs wouldn't move, the body wouldn't move, nothing would move. And you look at this ayah 1677 and you think, yeah, as you thinking, you know what, I'm invincible. I can stand all the time. You and I don't know. So the day of judgment also is going to happen like that. Death is also going to happen like that. 1 minute you're standing, 1 minute you're not. And that's what he's trying to say. He knows what is in the heavens and the earth. So it's not rocket science to attach ourselves only to him, okay? 78. Now, a little bit we're going to think about this. Wallahu akhrajakum min butuni ummahatikum. This is the third time a belly is mentioned. Do you remember where we mentioned the belly before? The bee's belly in 69. Now look at 66. Go back. Look at 66. I didn't say that when we were at 66. I want you to look at it now. وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَإِبْرَةً نُسْقِيكُم مِّمَّا فِي بُطُونِهِ. We give you drink from its stomach. So the first belly was the belly of the cow. The next belly is the belly of the bee. Now the third belly is the belly of the mama. 3 bellies, right? In Sura Al Nahl. وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُمْ فِي بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. You didn't know anything. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. We gave you hearing. We gave you perception. Absar is not only sight, it's perception of the heart. وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. And we gave you a heart. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So that you may be thankful. Okay, now let's see what it's trying to say. Why is it suddenly bringing bellies in here? So he's telling you now that I brought you out of the belly of your mother. Do you think I can't bring you out of the belly of the earth? You see what it's trying to say? The connotation is there's a coming out of the belly of the earth as well. Okay. Right, 1692. Now this ayah was used by Sayyidah Zainab in her sermon in the court of, in Kufa actually, not in the court of Yazid, in Kufa. She used this ayah and she says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّتِي نَكَذَتْ غَزْلَهَا مِنْ بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ أَنْكَاثًا تَتَّخِذُونَ أَيْمَانَكُمْ دَخْلًا بَيْنَكُمْ أَمْ تَكُونُوا أُمَّةً هِيَ أَرْبَى مِنْ أُمَّةٍ إِنَّمَا يَبْلُكُمُ اللَّهُ بِهِ وَلْيُنَبِّيَنَّ لَكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مَا كُنْتُمْ بِهِ تَخْتَلِفُونَ. Don't be like the person who's knitted something, who's made something and then unravels it completely, like takes it all apart. All that good work they put in, they unraveled it. The ulama tell us it is just like you've written something beautiful and then you tear it up like a book. You've torn it up. You've deleted what's on your computer. Okay, forget about a book because you don't do them these days. So you wrote this wonderful essay, whatever you did, and you just deleted it. Khalas, you had nothing, delete, by the way. You didn't even have to be, you couldn't recover it from your bin either. You deleted it twice, right? And that's what she's trying to say. The ulama tell us it's like tearing a book apart. So this was referring historically to the Jews and to the Makkans. The Jews had the Torah with them. The Makkans had some basic understanding that there is a God. But what they didn't want is somebody telling them what to do, so no divine guidance. The Jews, out of the thing that we are the only ones who are right, didn't want to open up and listen to anybody else. We have to do things this way. I'm afraid we do exactly the same thing. How many times do we listen to du'as and Qur'an and we just pare. Even the generation after me does the same thing. And I thought they would stand up and say, let's change the way we do things. But no, they're even more placid than we were, which is really sad. Because that's not what it's all about. Okay, you need to stand up. Anyway, I'm not going to start a revolution right now. So 1692, don't unravel what you have already knitted. 97. Man amila salihan. See how easy it is to be happy. Man amila salihan. When you put people together, when you do deeds that help people feel good about themselves, min dhakarin aw untha, whether you're a man or a woman, wa huwa mu'minun, and you believe, فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً, they will have an awesome, beautiful life. Hayatan tayyiba is, and it just says amila salihan. Even a single good deed, if done well, belief on an action, that's all you need. So the next time you and I say, I'm sad, or there is something wrong and I'm not serving humanity, right? Okay. وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنِ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, and we will give you the best of what you did. So he won't look at those deeds that I did that were half there and half not there. Give you the best. I don't know whether you do this, but I take my blood pressure every now and then. And the doctor tells me I got to take the best of 3. And I'm thinking, really? Are you serious? And he's right, because you normally will find that the 3rd one is less than the first one, because you've learned to breathe in and out. Sorry, when you get to my age, you do all these funky things. So that's blood pressure, but here we're talking about good deeds. He takes the best of what you did. Okay? Are you good? I love this ayah. Okay, 98. You all know this one. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ, when you recite the Qur'an, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, take refuge in Allah, مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ, just take refuge in Him, because otherwise you will start thinking like you and not like God. I mentioned it just now, when He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا, you'll say, you'll forgive everyone but me. لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ, don't despair in His mercy, you say, have mercy on everyone except me. You're not looking at me. 1434, وَآتَاكُمْ مَا كُلِّ سَأَلْتُمُوهُ, we grant you everything you want, and you say, yeah, He gives everyone but me. The moment you think that, He says in Hadith Qudsi, I am what you think of me as. Think of Him as nothing that you can ever comprehend. Okay? The kindest, the most merciful, the most forgiving, all the Asma al-Husna, and inshallah one day we will go over them. So, this one, before you start reading Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Just maybe one of those things that we forget sometimes. If you're ever stuck in life, there's one surah that recompenses all of them. That's Surah Al-Fatiha. Because you recite it all the time, we don't realize how good it is. You know, your ancestors and my ancestors are very smart. They gave us food, and instead of calling it tabarruk, they called it Fatiha. Because they thought that if they called it that, the moment you saw it, you would recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and it would have an effect on you because you would eat it as well. So anyway, good to start this with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Okay. Now you come to 114 and 115. So he says, فَكُلُوا, eat مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ, whatever God has given you. Find good stuff to eat. حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. Make sure it is halal. And halal doesn't just mean the meat. Halal means that the money you've earned to buy your food should be halal. It shouldn't be stolen. It shouldn't be where you haven't paid your taxes. Sorry, I'm married to an accountant, and I'm very particular about that, okay? Make sure it's not just cash payments. Make sure you pay your taxes. Tayyiba is good. And today you hear all this thing about food that's supposed to be healthy, okay? Less chips, less samosas, less whatever. Washkuru, and thank him. Ni'matallahi in kuntum iyyahu ta'bud. And thank him. Finish by saying Alhamdulillah. It's not just English or Christian habit to start your food with a prayer and to end your food with a prayer. The Prophet taught this to you and me all the time. So to encourage children to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and to end with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen is something that you can do. You might be an annoying mom or grandma, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. What difference does it make? You're giving them the food anyway. Okay. Now what can't you eat? إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ. What is haram for you, what you should not eat, is maytata, something that dies of itself. وَالدَّمَ, don't drink blood. وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ, don't have the meat of, or in other words, pork, right? وَمَا أُحِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ. And don't recite, or don't eat anything over which any other name than that of Allah has been taken. وَلَا عَادٍ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. But if you had to eat, if you were hungry, if you were, it's not even dying, if you were desperate for food, then you know Allah is Ghafurur Rahim. Let me give you an example. I don't know if I should be saying this because this is being recorded, right? I remember going to an interfaith meeting. And at that interfaith meeting, and this is a long time ago, and I remember being very pedantic. And I looked at something and it looked like vegetable samosas. And immediately in my head, I thought it was the representative who made it, who wasn't a Muslim. And she said, why aren't you eating those? And I said, couldn't say I'm allergic to vegetables because I was having every other vegetable, right? And tears started pouring down her eyes. She was so upset. My job wasn't to upset her. Did I eat it? Yes. Did she make it? No. She'd been very careful that she bought it from a place where she knew I'd be able to eat it. But I made presumptions. And even if I didn't make that presumption, even if she didn't order it from somewhere else, I'm not out there to hurt someone. I really am not. So here, it's not only when you're dying, it's when you're making somebody else die as well. You can't do that. It's really wrong. Okay? All right, next one. Here's your favorite person and my favorite person. Inna Ibrahima kana ummatan. Now let's look at what made Ibrahim a friend of Allah. Okay? So that's ayah 120. So Allah says he was kana ummatan. He was like a nation in itself. It was like a community in its own. You just saw him and he built a nation. Qanitan lillah. Does anybody know what qanitan means? Qanitan means he was obedient. That means he was totally Allahi. Okay? Hanifan, he was dedicated. I don't know how to translate dedicated. He was totally committed to Allah. Okay? He would travel for miles. And if people ask him, why are you going so many places? He says, I can't eat alone. I just can't eat alone. I've got to find somebody to come and eat with me. That's Hanifan. وَلَمْ يَكُ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. He never associated anyone with Allah. So that's a mention of Ibrahim. That's why he was a friend of Allah. It's not that difficult if you think about it. Qanitan lillah, Hanifa. It's not difficult. Okay. And look what Allah gives him. وَآتَيْنَاهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَإِنَّهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ لَمِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. What is that dua we read? 2201. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Let me go back. What did he do? He was part of a community. He was a nation builder. Okay? قَانِتًا لِلَّهِ. He was obedient. Whatever he was told that divinity is telling you to do, he would do. And finally, Hanifan, he was dedicated. وَلَمْ يَكُ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Okay. Now, this is probably coming near the end of the surah, but we're going to look. This is something that is recited in every majlis. أُدْعُوا إِلَىٰ سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ. If you want to call somebody to the way of your Rabb, there are three things. Hikmah, مَوْعِظَةَ الْحَسَنَةِ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. So the first thing you will use is wisdom. So there's three groups of people here. One, you have to call with wisdom. One, you have to call with beautiful lessons. You can't scare people. I can't see any scary parts here. Can you see here any scary parts? No. And then it says, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. When you debate with what is best. So there's three types of people we're talking about here. And people who you would use wisdom with are those who are smart, those who are intelligent. For the masses, you would use beautiful stories. And for those who are maybe intellectuals, or maybe those of other religions, you will debate in the best of ways. You will never put them down. You will just say who you are. You don't have to step on somebody to rise higher. That's what it's trying to say. Okay? So three groups of people. Inna rabbaka huwa a'lamu biman dhalla an sabili. Your Rabb knows who has moved away from his path. Wa huwa a'lamu bil muhtadin. And he knows who follows the right path. You just have to carry on and do what you do. Okay? Are you good? Cool. 1 to 6. Now, the moment you do these things, beautiful stories, you use wisdom, and you debate in the best of ways, which is probably known as tabligh as such, you will have enemies. And when you have enemies, you will be afflicted. So he says, وَإِنْ أَعْقَبْتُمْ فَأَعْقِبُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا أُعْقِبْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. So, if you're afflicted, don't retort back. The best thing for you is to have sabr. Sabr doesn't mean don't say anything. Sabr doesn't mean passive-aggressive. Sabr actually means be persistent in what you're doing. Just carry on with your goodness. Don't worry about what they're doing. They'll say all sorts of things. They'll say some stupid things. But it doesn't matter. Just carry on with the way you're doing things. It shouldn't stop you from the way you're working. And finally, well, not finally, still a little bit more. I think there's one more. وَاصْبِرْ وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And know that perseverance and patience only comes from Allah. وَلَا تَحْزَنْ عَلَيْهِمْ. Don't be sad. وَلَا تَكُوا فِي ضَيْقٍ مِّمَّا يَمْكُرُونَ. And don't worry about what they plan, because مَكَرُهُمْ وَمَكَرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ. They plan and he plans, and Allah is the best of plans. But the word that you need to think more about here is sabruka illa billah. Sabr only comes from Allah. Perseverance only comes from Him. Strength only comes from Him and nobody else. Nobody else is going to give you strength. They'll find faults, believe me. Right, last one. Who is Allah with? Inna Allah. Allah is with. Ma'a is with. It's really beautiful. They have Allah's support. Alladina taqaw, those who are God conscious. Walladina hum muhsinun, and those who excel, who go to excel. And I'll try to write down a little bit about how it goes. Ihsan starts from God consciousness. God consciousness means that I'm aware that I'm being watched all the time. I just told you when I was saying something that I know I'm being recorded. So normally when you're being recorded, you're a little bit more careful about what you say. But this is all the time. You're recorded anyway. That is called taqwa. Ihsan, taqwa goes to hope. That means I hope he will accept. From hope becomes ihsan. Ihsan means that I follow the path of excellence. Now the only way I can follow a path of excellence here, and I want Allah to be with me, is if I know what excellence is in my books. What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What do I want in life? Do I just want to eat, drink, reproduce, and die? It's up to me. You got to work out, this is what my life wants to be. This is how I want to be. That's the practical side of Qur'an. That's what it says. Do I want somebody else to smile because of me? I think my teacher said something that I'll end with just now. So he told me, every day before you go to sleep, think that this is your last day, that you won't wake up in the morning. And think in the morning it's your funeral. And at your funeral, 3 people are asked to speak impromptu. 1 from your family, 1 from your friends, and 1 from your community. Your family will probably be too upset to say anything. And if they're called impromptu, they won't say, Mom was a pain in the neck. They will just say, well, she was my mother, I can't say such things about her. Your friends also, very difficult. But you've got to know what they will say. And your community will probably say, oh, that woman used to speak a lot, or that woman used to sit in the corner. Is that what they're going to say? And then he said, write down what you would want them to say. Impromptu, huh? Not some put in chat GPT and print out a whole whatever. These days I see people writing all their CVs on chat GPT. No. Impromptu, just pick somebody up and say, what difference did she make in your life? So if I were you, muhsinan, excellence, has to be worked out between you and me. So you have to work out your own excellence, I have to work out my own excellence. I'll give you one tip. I say this all the time. If the angel of death would come, and he can come any time at all, I would like to be able to say, thank you for life. I did my best. And that's basically what life is about. So that's Sura Al Nahl. Next week, inshallah, we will look at Sura Al Isra. Absolutely phenomenal surah. Okay? So let's end with the Surah Al Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Now, because tomorrow is Friday, and I've got a little bit of time, 2 minutes, straight after your Fajr Salah, if you've got a hajat that you feel is not budging things, straight after your Fajr Salah, go into Sajda and 10 times Surah Al-Kafirun and ask for your hajat. If you know anybody who is looking for company, and doesn't necessarily mean they want to get married, but they're feeling lonely, basically, and loneliness is a difficult thing to have, then straight after Fajr on a Friday, to recite 3 times Surah Al-Tariq. Do you know what number Surah Al-Tariq is? You can look it up. Tariq actually means a night visitor. Tariq is Tariq, you know, Tariq is like a road as well, to stamp out a path. Okay? So 3 times Surah Al-Tariq, whether you're looking for a life partner, or you're looking to get out of loneliness, or you're looking for people around you, it's also a surah that is recited when you... It's also a surah to be recited when you want secrets to be revealed. I wouldn't use it for that because sometimes it's best not to know. But if you really want to know something, then Surah Al-Tariq. Okay, are you good? Okay, and finally 3 things, or 2 things, or 1 thing. What do you call somebody who's a servant of Allah? What do you call it? Abd. Ain, ba, da. What do you call a habit in Islam? Ada. Ain, dal. Even in Gujarati and Kutch, you say adat and ibadat. What is the difference between adat and ibadat? 1 letter. The, ba. And what is something that you recite with ba all the time? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If you want to make adat and ibadat, this is from the Prophet, not from me. If you want adat to become ibadah, just start everything with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So hopefully that's something that we can take back home today. Okay. Jazakumullah khair.